Alright guys, that's Scrappy here, and I hope you're doing well and enjoying your day so far. The snaking drama continues last night after Scrappy potentially might be getting a red card after what happened on Hacienda yesterday. Dashy has now revealed that in scrims over the last few days, things have become increasingly dramatic in terms of these snaking accusations. Shotzzy, Rocker thought he was snaking. From his PFE, it doesn't really look like it, but again, it does raise question of whether the 1-pump rule or the 2-pump rule was superior. What are the pros going to do about it? Because you're never going to get rid of the grey areas in these types of discussions. Very much enjoyed to your thoughts in the comments. Hit the like button if you enjoy, subscribe if you're new as always, I would greatly appreciate it. Plenty to dive into, starting of course with Boston playing FaZe yesterday, and this was a series that of course on paper you'd think, alright, it's telling, I think. This series was always going to be quite telling one way or the other. I don't know how much this series said against Boston, or about Boston really. I think mainly it said more about how difficult to beat FaZe currently look, because Boston, we know, we believe anyway, are pretty solid. They've had some good results in recent weeks. They always tend to play OpTic close in scrims or otherwise. Game 1 it was a Skyline, a map that Boston needed to win, certainly in hindsight. They had a good chance to win it. It was actually a really close map, number 1. But again, if you look at the slaying, it was FaZe who, I mean, if you look at the numbers, it's pretty clear. FaZe outslayed by a considerable number, which again, whether it's good or bad is a question, but the reality is if they're still winning, then maybe it doesn't really matter. Because Drazah was +6, Cellium was +7, aBeZy was -12, and Simp was +12. So, you know, that is, what, +13 kills. So outslaying by 13 kills for FaZe, and that's pretty considerable to win by 16 points or so, to be honest. Awakening had a bit of a rough time on the other side, and Boston were on the verge of winning this map before FaZe made the clutch plays at the end to get the job done. So, yeah, it was a close map. Again, it's Skyline, right? So, if you die, you spawn quite close to the hill. It's maybe not the most fundamentally sound map. So, there is an argument that on this map, outslaying and keeping it close, sometimes it happens. But still, it is a talking point for FaZe that they win a lot of hardpoints like this, where they outslay by a lot, it seems, and win by relatively little. But if they're winning and they're outslaying hard, it's also kind of demoralizing for the other team as well. And that is impressive by FaZe. They're able to slay at this level right now. And look, Skyline is a map where maybe you can get at FaZe. I think it's possible with the way that a map plays. A map that many teams will probably want to try and get into the series right now against FaZe. But the other maps, I mean, yeah, good luck with that one, really. The Search and Destroy, they played a back-to-back protocol. They played a Search on protocol. They played a Control on protocol. And both of these maps were just utterly dominant. This map lasted, I mean, I don't even know. I looked away from the screen. I looked back and it was already 5-1. And they were about to win the series. So, or about to win the map anyway. And FaZe relatively rarely in COD history have ever been reverse swept. It's, you know, you can count it on one hand pretty much anyway. So, look, they've been 3-0'd a couple of times recently and looked a bit shaky at the start of the game, but now they do look like the team to beat as it stands. Drazah obviously was having a good time with it, and then they just dominated the Control, and the Control was even more impressive, really, because, look, I think Boston are okay. At the end of the day, they're not a team that I'm expecting to be winning events, but I do really like their SMG duo. I think they've got a good thing going on. I like Cammy as the leader of that team. I'm still, you know, the jury's out for me on Awakening, whether he can recapture the form that we've previously seen from him, but they played the protocol. I think they won both of the offenses, which is pretty rarely done. And, yeah, as Preston says in the replies here, it may well be a critical moment, and we said it at the time, many people said it, when Simp clutched that 1 versus 4 against Miami at the Minor. How important of a turning point was that going to turn out to be? And it's looked good so far. Drazah says, feel unkillable right now. They play Cloud9 tomorrow, which is going to be very interesting to see if Cloud9 can do anything against them. And this is interesting as well. So these guys, with Drazah on the team, they have now got on 3 separate 7-win streaks. And no other Core 4 has actually ever done that, right? So these are some other kind of teams that did it twice or once, and a lot of, you know, Thieves and FaZe names here. For example, even with Arcetes, they did it twice, but not 3 times as they've done now with Drazah. So pretty impressive. Look, last year, FaZe at times looked absolutely unplayable, but when it came to major tournaments and big moments, again, they didn't really deliver. But I think Cellium has been the key game changer here, really, right? Because there's talk about all the ARs, they're not strong enough, we need to nerf the Jackal and all this, but Cellium is proving to be a slight exception to the rule right now. It's funny because Cellium for the first couple of weeks of this game had a 1.0, basically a 1 flat, and not much impact, not much damage. Now, consistently, Cellium is the most damage in the lobby, the most kills in the lobby, or pretty close to, and the best KD in the lobby. And we're seeing it here again, a 1.5 from Cell this series, a 1.4 from Simp. Yeah, good luck beating that one. And yeah, I mean, everyone had a bad series on the other side. Certainly when it came to the control, there were just no highlights there from Boston. So impressive from FaZe. And they're 3-3, right? It's not like they're dominating the stage. It's a series that FaZe actually needed to win to make sure they got to the winner's bracket. And, you know, if they beat Cloud9, they'll get to 4-3. So it is going to be a strange phenomenon where a team that will likely be 4-3 after the end of the weekends is going to be tournament favourites, when there could be a team in Toronto that might be 7-0 if they beat OpTic, which is possible, but maybe not exactly guaranteed at all. OpTic will win that series. But FaZe are not going to be the number 1 seed. They're not going to be that close to being the number 1 seed, but they probably will be tournament favourites with the way that they are currently looking and how much they've improved over the last few weeks. This just from Clay as well. We know that the VFL is still ongoing, and these are the top players as it stands. Obviously, lots of the Falcons guys have been playing in this. It's interesting to note that some of the players haven't really been... It's like 10k on the line here that's split between the top 8 players. Huke's been grinding a bit. It's kind of like the BPL from last year. The players can play 8 matches, and then depending, you get like an ELO rating based on if you win or if you lose. King, Wixel, QK4B, also of Falcons, and also exited. Like, they're on the leaderboards here, but there's some other notable names, of course, like Prolutes here, Johnny, Neptune, and Huke is a representative from OpTic. So, yeah, a few days left for that to be resolved. If you guys didn't see the news yesterday, DreamHack Dallas is going to be the location of the 4th major this year. Hopefully, I mean, this will go ahead because the DreamHack isn't going to get cancelled. It is a good thing, I guess, that at least for the last couple of years, Major 4 or the final major before Champs has been a bit of a shambles. You guys remember it was going to be a New York event a couple of years ago. That then got cancelled, never happened. It was then meant to be a Carolina event last year. That got cancelled, never happened. So at least this year there will be a LAN going into the World Championship, which is of course what we... I mean, it was a LAN last couple of times, but it's not been a LAN with fans. There will be a fan here, well, more than one fan, I'd imagine. And Adam Apicella says, DreamHack is the perfect location for the CDL, considering Call of Duty's storage routes and community LAN. So I'm sure there is more of this to come next year and beyond. But I wanted to talk about some of the snaking stuff again, because Dashy was really getting into the weeds of it last night. And, well, there's some interesting realizations I think the pros have had in terms of how certain actions look on the free cam or on the third person or on the X-ray vision compared to how they look from the person's perspective. Now, from the player's perspective, you get to see everything they did in fine detail, and therefore you can make, I suppose, the best judgment. What it looks like from the other player's perspective is, of course, relevant, and maybe is the most important thing, because that's actually what it matters in terms of winning the gunfight or not. But if the player didn't do anything that dodgy and it just looked dodgy from the other guy's perspective, then, you know, it's not necessarily the player in question's fault. So Scrappy and the guys, they get the win 3-2 against Miami. It was competitive. They won the control, and Scrappy was getting into a bit of drama based on this clip that we saw yesterday, and I'll just show it for you guys again, when Scrap goes for what appears to be a single pump here for the first one, and then, you know, the second pump here on the second guy up into the top window. So now it's obviously interesting because, as I said yesterday, he does go fully prone here. It's not like he's snaked it exactly, but he has gone prone, stood up once, gone prone, stood up twice. So is that a double pump? Is that a snake? I mean, I don't know. It's why it's difficult to enforce. So yesterday, Dashy tweeted a few things out. This was a pretty good one. No honor among thieves, right? Obviously having a bit of a movement the way of Scrappy. I don't know what's happening here, maybe behind the scenes in the Gentleman's Agreement chat, because after Dashy snaked Thieves, right, on the skyline, they got him banned for a day of scrims, and clearly there was lots of discussion in the GA chats that we don't have public access to, and it's not like we necessarily should, but you know, we just have to kind of assume sometimes what is being said in these discussions between the pros. But the pros, it seems, were discussing Dashy's snaking moment and decided to blacklist them for a day. Now, you'd imagine, after what happened on that map, there was some discussion in the GA chat as to whether Scrappy was breaking the GAs. And look, what you guys think the repercussions or the conclusion of that will be, who knows? But, you know, this, to me, implies from Dashy's side that he, you know, there's some scheming maybe going on behind the scenes here to try and make it so that Scrappy's team doesn't get a blacklist from scrims, because as I say, I don't really know how you would mandate the blacklist going into the major, right? The match is finished tomorrow for the weekends. Monday is typically the team's day off anyway. And then I think the teams will be flying on Tuesday to get there at least for Tuesday night, Wednesday before the event on Thursday. And usually Wednesday is, you know, the scrim day that the teams have. So are the teams going to blacklist Thieves from getting the pre-LAN warm-up scrims on the Wednesday? I mean, maybe, but I don't know how easy that's going to be to actually make work. So Radiation pointed this out from Dashy's stream yesterday, and I just wanted to share the clip here because it was very interesting. I might even play it a couple of times just so you guys get the picture. So you can see Shotzzy through the wall from Rocker's perspective, and they apparently were talking in the chat and saying Shotzzy snaked us, he snaked us like 4 times, look how many pumps he did. Whereas from Shotzi's POV, he didn't really do much. Like, he goes prone, he stands up again, and, you know, he's dodging things, and I think Dashy's probably right that the way that Shotzzy plays this is like a normal player's way to play this. Like, everything he does is understandable, and I don't think there's necessarily an intention to snake the guy. But it does look that way, I'm sure, from the other guy's perspective. And by the 2 pump rule, this is probably unfair. But it doesn't seem like, and there's certainly, if you're snaking deliberately and, you know, you're going up and down on a heady in such a way as to camera the other guy, as we have seen in previous years, then fair enough, even 1 pump, I think, any more than that is unjustifiable. But when it's moments like this where you're going fully prone and then you're standing up again, yeah, it looks the same from the other guy's perspective, but it's not necessarily the same thing. And that's probably why, as Dashy says, you got to get the actual player onboard cam, because otherwise you're not going to know what they actually did or not.
Hang on, Gaza. Yeah, you can't, thank God. Holy shit, because Ant's moving in Mach 5. Look, he's right there, right? Lays down, crouches, lays down, crouches. I guess it looks like he's snaking like 3 times, right? We're like, whoa, they're like, you 4. They said 4 pumps. I'm like, what the fuck, 4 pumps? I'm like, I looked at Ant like, are these guys blasted? I feel like, there's no way that's a thing, right? And then look at it from Ant's screen. Bro, we got to get rid of A, X-ray accusing, and B, 1 pump bullshit. Look at this. This is a natural god play. He just bumpered. Yeah, you know what I'm saying? Is this not insane? This is the most normal fight ever. And did he even get a kill? Actually, no, he got a kill, right? Fuck, he could have got a 4-piece. Who fucking cares, dude? Like, look at this shit. Guy's using great util, by the way. Great util. He has to crouch up so he has the angle to fucking bounce it off the ceiling.
So what do you guys think in the comment section below? How is this possible to enforce? The reality is it's incredibly different, but I think the pros have probably realised relying on X-ray cam is not the most viable way to use these accusations. So anything that happens, I think, on that one going forwards, the pros are going to need to be pretty careful about the way that they approach things. Let's talk about the games for today. Of course, Ravens went down to Surge yesterday, controversially so. Heretics lost to Thieves, and Breach lost to FaZe. Tonight there are 3 more games. Sunday is the banger day on paper, because Boston Thieves is very interesting, especially having Boston just played FaZe and played them close map 1 and after that got slammed. FaZe Cloud9 to see if FaZe can get to 4-3 and Cloud9 can do anything. And then, of course, the battle for effectively the #1 seed between OpTic and Toronto on paper anyway. So Saturday goes as follows this evening. Surge play Rockab. That's an interesting matchup. I don't know who's going to win. It's got a game 5 written all over it, hasn't it? Let's be honest. That is a series that you can certainly see going down to the wire. Who wins? I don't really care, to be honest. Falcons versus Gentlemates. This is interesting because Falcons, man, if they're going to get a win against anyone, these are the type of teams, right? It's when they play the likes of Surge, who they played and lost to last weekend. When they play the likes of Gentlemates. I think Gentlemates are probably going to be too good. Again, it's one of those series where if I'm going to have any faith in Falcons, and I still want to have faith, and I think they're going to have a brand new team tonight. I'm not even exactly sure what that team's going to look like, but they are, I think, changing their roster from last weekend, which may be good, maybe bad. I mean, they may show some more promise. We get to see some new players in action anyway, which is exciting, I guess, but it's still a bit of an uphill battle when you've had like no scrim time with your new team to play a team which, you know, okay, they're not looking great, but they've still got plenty of world champions on that roster. I want Falcons to at least be competitive, but it is getting to the point where you just have to accept that Falcons are going to lose, and they're going to lose in what's probably going to be quite an entertaining manner. And the final one then is actually pretty big for the Ravens, because they started the year so strong, they've got loads of CDL points, but if they continue the way that they've played over the last couple of weeks online, those can quickly slip away from you. And Heretics, they put up a fight against Thieves yesterday. Ravens will need to, I think, probably win at least a hard point here, because Heretics have improved in their search and destroy. I think the Ravens losing 2-3-5 as they did yesterday is unlikely to be repeated. I think this one I am going to take Ravens in 5 and another Heretics masterclass where they go the distance and lose in 5. But yeah, that's going to be my bounce back prediction for them. May not come true, but very much intrigued to your perspective in the comments. Hit the like button if you enjoyed. Subscribe if you're new. Take care, and I'll see you next time.